The facts revealed that the executive engineer was the original applicant before the tribunal, and in contemplation of disciplinary proceedings, he was suspended by an order dated September 30th, 1999. Such order of suspension stood revoked on January 12th, 2001, and accordingly the executive engineer resumed service more than 5 years later on February 3rd, 2006. To be precise, the memorandum was issued against the executive engineer by the Soil Conservation Department. The six charges leveled against the executive engineer inter alia included a charge accusing him of having indulged in irregularities in discharge of official duties while he was working under the control of the soil conservation officer. His conduct resulted in misappropriation of government funds. An inquiry followed. The inquiry officer held in his report that four of the six charges leveled against the executive engineer stood proved. The report of inquiry was furnished to the executive engineer for his detailed reply. More than 42 months after submission of such reply, the disciplinary authority passed an order of penalty directing recovery of rupees 1,94,497 from the executive engineer, as well as reducing two of his increments permanently. This order was followed by a further order whereby the period spent by the executive engineer under suspension was directed to be treated as a period under suspension. In the meanwhile, however, the executive engineer retired from service on attaining the age of superannuation. There was the sole ground that the executive engineer was deprived of fair hearing in course of the disciplinary proceedings initiated against him. The tribunal observed that ordinarily, when a final order is set aside on the ground that the delinquent employee was not afforded fair hearing, the disciplinary authority is granted liberty to proceed from the stage the inquiry or the proceedings, as the case may be stood vitiated. However, since the executive engineer had retired from service, subjecting him to face the inquiry at this distance of time would result in great injustice. Considering such aspects, the tribunal did not grant liberty to the disciplinary authority and allowed the said original application in terms of prior. Consequently, the period spent under suspension by the executive engineer was directed to be treated as period spent on duty. There was a further direction for grant of all retiral benefits to the executive engineer. He must be provided all the benefits which he was entitled to upon superannuation. Since the executive engineer was proceeded against Civil Service Rules 1979, the inquiry into the charges leveled against him had to be conducted by inquiry officer in substantial compliance with the provisions of Rule 8 thereof. Point was taken by the executive engineer before the tribunal that the process was followed in the breach by inquiry officer. He was not questioned by inquiry officer on the circumstances appearing against him. He was merely called upon the executive engineer to offer his submission on the statements which had been recorded in course of inquiry and had been supplied to him from time to time. Such point succeeded as it was held that a procedural safeguard provided by Rule 8 was not extended to executive engineer and that the mandatory provisions of 1979 rules had been violated by inquiry officer. Tribunal was absolutely unjustified in not granting liberty to the petitioners to resume inquiry from the stage it stood vitiated. Charges against executive engineer are rather serious and he indulged in acts resulting in misappropriation of funds. We find it to be attractive at first blush. However, on deeper scrutiny, we find no reason to tinker with the discretion exercised by tribunal. Stop.